Hello, and welcome to our Let's Play video on Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2 is a single-player and multiplayer cooperative survival horror first-person shooter developed by Valve Corporation. First announced on June 1st, 2009, and was released on 4 different platforms: PC, Xbox 360, Linux, and Mac. We will discuss the PC version for this game, as it is the most popular platform for this game. The reason why we chose this game was because of the action-packed gameplay and its support for mods. In this video, we will be discussing the genre, platform, design quality, game mechanics, and the business model that contributed to the game's success. Firstly, we will be talking about the genre of the game, and which audiences it appeals to the most. Officially, it is a survival horror first-person shooter, which means it is fast-paced, intense, and requires a decent amount of mechanical skill. According to the gamer motivation model, it would appeal to players who prefer action due to the game's fast-paced and destructive elements. However, it would also appeal to social players because it requires team members to communicate efficiently and effectively in order to beat the levels.
Other games that are in the same genre include Fear, Doom, and Resident Evil. These games, however, are slightly different as Left 4 Dead 2 puts an emphasis on multiplayer. The biggest difference between the different platforms are the use of mods in the game. PC, Mac, and Linux, modding is encouraged in the game to enhance the user experience. However, on Xbox, the use of mods is hard to implement, and most users just play the vanilla game. The other difference is the game controllers. Users on Xbox mainly use the Xbox 360 game controller, while players on other platforms mostly use a keyboard and mouse. However, a player is able to use a controller on PC, Mac, and Linux if preferred. In terms of game design, Left 4 Dead 2 contains a cinematic apocalyptic environment that brings excitement and action to the game. It employs a first-person point of view, which allows players to be in the shoes of the game characters. In this regard, it is similar to other games in the same genre, such as Doom and Fear. What separates Left 4 Dead 2 from other games is the use of the AI director. This feature of the game controls the pacing of the game and adapts to the real-time actions of the players. This creates a game where no two events are the same, as the AI director can change where the zombies spawn as well as the item spawn points. This feature complements the genre because it makes the game less routine and keeps the players engaged with the game. In terms of aesthetics, the game utilizes a wide variety of color schemes to maintain the tense atmosphere of the game. For example, in the clip above, the lighting in the game is very dark with a lot of gray tones. This creates a mysterious and unsettling aesthetic view. The sound also contributes to the atmosphere due to the sounds of zombie groans and other environmental sounds. Here's a listen. Moving on to game mechanics, we will be discussing the space, objects, player actions, rules, skills, and chants. Game space. Left 4 Dead 2 is a continuous 3-dimensional divided space. The player is allowed to move freely within a limited space. For example, in this clip, I am not able to climb through or past these bushes to access the other area. I must follow the path, but my movement is not limited to specific cells within the movable area. Objects. Objects in a game are defined as anything that the player can manipulate in the game. The objects in Left 4 Dead 2 are divided into 9 categories: primary weapons, secondary weapons, melee weapons, fixed weapons, grenades, special items, usable items, weapon upgrades, and monsters. We will divide the objects into 4 categories: weapons, items, monsters, and grenades. Game weapons. This category of objects includes primary, secondary, and fixed weapons, as these objects are used in the game to kill the monsters. The weapons can be used as a melee tool or as a powered weapon. However, the weapon can only be used as a powered tool if fuel or ammunition is provided. The weapon will not function in its traditional role unless ammo is carried by the player. The player, however, can use the weapon to melee monsters by right-clicking, but its effectiveness in stopping monsters is significantly decreased. The static attribute of this object is the type of weapon. For example, the player is not able to convert an automatic rifle into a pistol, regardless of mods, as the weapons are programmed as specific types of weapons. These different types cannot be changed, however, the aesthetic look of the weapons can be changed via mods. The dynamic attribute of these objects is the available ammunition. The number of bullets is always changing as the player continues to fire his or her weapon. The ammunition counter is found on the right side of the screen. Game items. Items are comprised of usable items, special items, and weapon upgrades. Some of these items include health packs, adrenaline shots, gas cans, and propane tanks. These items have one specific purpose. For example, health packs are only used to heal the characters. They cannot be used for any other purpose. While items such as gas cans can be used to harm zombies, or in other instances, can be used to fulfill mission objectives. The static attribute of these objects are the fact that they are one-use items. For example, if you use a health pack, the health pack cannot regenerate, and the player must look for a new health pack in order to regain health. This applies to all other objects. The dynamic attribute of these objects are what items the player possesses. For example, after using an item, the item will disappear. This is a change in state from being possessed by the player to being lost. Monsters. Monsters are basically any type of zombies the player/players have to fight in the game. These monsters are the most important objects of the game because the gameplay and narrative revolve around the players defeating or escaping these monsters. The static attribute is the type of monsters in the game. There are 9 types of zombies within Left 4 Dead 2. Each different type has different abilities. For example, the hunter zombie is able to pounce on the characters and can easily take down the whole team if left alone. However, zombies are not able to change their types nor abilities within their game. Their abilities are static to their type. The dynamic attribute of the monsters is their alive state. When a zombie is alive, it will try to deal damage to the characters and will not stop until it is killed or has killed the player. Moving on to grenades. Grenades are any items that can be thrown to deal damage or debuffs to zombies. The static attribute of these objects are the types of grenades. These grenades are programmed to be a specific type, and their effects cannot be changed. The dynamic attribute of these objects is whether or not the player possesses these items. After each use, the objects will be expended and cannot be used again, unless the player finds a grenade of the same type. This state changes constantly when you use these items. This concludes the game objects portion. Now let's move on to actions. Actions within the game are separated into 2 categories, operative and resultant. Operative actions are basic actions that the player can do. For example, move up, down, left, or right. These actions are very basic and are used by the player every time they play. Resultant actions are strategic actions that players try to take to gain an advantage. An example of a resultant action would be this. See what I did there? I threw a bile grenade to attract zombies to that central position. This gave me a window to shoot as many zombies as I can with the machine gun. As a result, I was able to clear most of the zombies and prevent ourselves from being overrun. Now let's move on to rules. In a digital game, we can identify 3 different types of rules: implicit, operational, and constitutive. The implicit rules of Left 4 Dead 2 are rules that are not specifically written but implied. These may include behavioral rules where players are expected to treat other players with respect. Other implicit rules may also include familiarity with the game platform. This means that when the mouse is moved, the character also moves. These rules are the most obvious. Operational rules are simply what the players do to play the game. This is similar to operative actions. The operational rules in Left 4 Dead 2 include shooting zombies, moving, jumping, etc. Constitutive rules are basically how the game interprets player input. For example, a constitutive rule in Left 4 Dead 2 would be how much damage the player does when he shoots a zombie. This rule determines how much of an effect the player has on the game. The game mechanics that have been listed previously above help create the magic circle. The magic circle is created when the player loads up the game and enters into the main menu. Aesthetic features, game objects, and actions, and game rules all help to create the virtual world of Left 4 Dead 2. We will now talk about the chance and skills that are required in the game. Left 4 Dead 2 is not a game that is strongly influenced by chance. It is mostly dependent on the skills of the player. However, the AI director is in charge of the chance factor. The AI director will change zombie spawn points and item spawn points, so not every mission will be the same. In my opinion, This small degree of chance still makes the game fun because it keeps the game from feeling very routine. Continuing on to skills, Left 4 Dead 2 requires decent physical, mental, and social skills for players to successfully beat the game. For physical skill, players must have good coordination and fast reflexes to keep up with the fast-paced nature of the game. For mental skill, players must be able to use their resources strategically. Instead of using all your bullets at once, smart players will try to conserve ammunition and only use their primary weapons when there are a large number of zombies or when special ability zombies appear. As for social skills, players must be able to work together in order to beat the levels. Overall, these mechanics ranging from game space, objects, player actions, rules, skills, and chance all contribute to a very fun and enjoyable game in Left 4 Dead 2. I have spent countless hours playing with friends, and every time we play, we have always had fun. This concludes our game design portion of the video. Now let's move on to the game's business model, and how the game was promoted before the release and maintained after its release, to keep attracting new gamers and grow its revenue.
The game was made available for pre-order on Xbox 360 and PC. The people who pre-ordered the game could play a demo of the game prior to its release. They also got an exclusive baseball bat melee to be used in the game. In addition, people who had pre-ordered the game through Steam on PC got to unlock Bills Barrett from Left 4 Dead 2 to play on the PC version of the game Team Fortress 2, which is a multiplayer online game developed by Valve, the same company that developed the Left 4 Dead series. In order to make sure that Left 4 Dead 2 is the fastest selling game in Valve's history, the company allocated $25 million to its advertising campaign, exceeding the $10 million that supported Left 4 Dead 1. In the US, that money translated into billboards, banner ads on gaming sites, and televised advertisement to run during UFC events and Monday Night Football. Europe also saw a ramp up on indoor advertisement along with print, television, and website ads. A portion of the ongoing revenue for the game is also generated through selling downloadable content or DLCs. The first DLC made available for the game is called The Passing. The content costs 560 Microsoft points for Xbox users, and it was free for PC and Mac users. This campaign takes place between Dead Center and Dark Carnival's campaign and features the cast of Left 4 Dead 2 meeting the three of the survivors for the original Left 4 Dead. After that, a prequel to The Passing was made called The Sacrifice, which was an add on both Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2. The developers also introduced mutations in Left 4 Dead 2, which are modifications on the game's mods. These game mods alter the conditions of play. For example, in one of the most popular mutations called Realism Versus, at the time when their teammate is behind the walls or out of sight, the survivors won't be able to see each other's glowing outlines. However, the infected, the gamers who are playing as the zombies, can see both their teammates and the survivors as glowing outlines when they're out of sight. Similar to the original Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2 also led the players to construct new maps, campaigns, and other mods supported by Valve through their software development kit. For instance, players have found ways to increase the number of survivors up to 16. Valve's update for the games on January 2013 included support for Steam Workshop, and a further update patch in the same year introduced a scripting system which expanded the mutation system, giving programmers more control and options to create new mutations and customize behavior in specific campaigns. Another thing that contributed to the game's success was the positive reviews it got from game journalists appreciating the new abilities added to the game, such as new melees and firearms. For example, IGN, one of the most popular gaming websites, wrote, "Anyone who liked the concepts introduced by the first game should buy the second." The game also won an award for the best Xbox 360 game at the 2009 Spike Video Game Awards. As mentioned, the game was a huge success, with its number on pre-sales being 4 times the pre-sales of Left 4 Dead 1. According to a phone interview with Giant Bomb on August 2011, Chet Felicic said that the series had sold over 11 million units in total. That concludes our Let's Play video. Thank you for watching.